It's Lorenzo with MyTribalJob. Today we visited with Seth Fairchild, the Executive Director of the Choctaw Foundation. We discussed their involvement with education, culture, and health within the Choctaw Nation. The Choctaw Foundation is a non-profit organization that has helped hundreds of tribal members better themselves and their community. One of the things I want to ask you is, what does your position entail?
So I've been in this role as executive director for a couple years now, and really it's about management, overseeing our three core areas of programming, which include education, culture, and health. We award about $300,000 worth of competitive scholarships each year. That's our educational tier. Our cultural tier, we collect all the artifacts that go into the cultural center. So we have about 600 to 700 individual pieces that we store at a facility down in Dallas. Probably another one that you've heard about is that we audio and video record tribal elders. So we go all around the country, we sit down with tribal elders. For example, if we were recording your family, we would sit you down with them, give you some prompt questions, set up cameras kind of like this setup, and just let you guys have a conversation. And we have recorded numerous first speakers, boarding school alumni, and those types of things. And these stories will be passed on for generations. And then we recently started some health initiatives where we started an outdoor classroom here on site where we can bring kids, families, elders on to connect them to learn how to grow healthy food. A lot of older people know how to do those things, but we want to connect the generations. Choctaws were always known for being a people connected to agriculture and the land, and we're just trying to carry on that tradition.
So how many scholarships are offered on a yearly basis?
It's a good question. So it's really depending on a lot of factors, but we typically say 25 to 30, and we've been trending at about adding 5 to 10 new ones a year. The reason for that is because we have certain scholarships that are funded with internal funding, meaning we have the money, we figure out where the need is and we put the money out there. But we'll also have people out there, Choctaws and non-Choctaws, that want to start scholarships in their family name or something like that. And so every year we have donor-based scholarships. And these, we always tell people our scholarships range from a couple thousand a year up to 40,000 a year. So we have a wide range of scholarships, and if you are Choctaw pursuing some form of post-secondary education, we have a scholarship you can apply for.
So how are scholarships funded?
Well, entirely donations. So it's interesting that the Chahta Foundation is actually separate from the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. So we operate entirely off of donations. So knowing how many scholarships that we're going to give is entirely dependent on how many donations have come in the previous year. So if there's anybody out there who wants to start a scholarship, we work with them to start those. So it's private donations, corporate donations, grants, like you would see most nonprofits. A couple cool things that we offer, which makes it very attractive for donors, is that 100% of your donations go directly toward programming. Meaning, I'm an employee of the Choctaw Nation, but I work for the Chahta Foundation. So what that means is that if you give us $1, none of it goes to pay my salary or to keep the lights on, which is pretty amazing. Second thing is that every single dollar you give us is matched 1-to-1. So if you give us $1, it immediately becomes 2. We had a gentleman donate $1 million to us a couple years ago, which the tribe faithfully matched that $1 million. So we have $2 million in an endowment that will fund medical scholarships for Choctaw tribal members. So it's pretty exciting.
That's interesting. Yeah. So how are recipients chosen?
Good question. We take a lot of pride in the selection of our scholarship recipients. We go above and beyond what is required of us. What we do is, if you applied for a scholarship, once we receive all of your application, it's an online application. Once we receive all the supporting documentation, your name and personal identification is completely wiped off the application. That way nobody knows who you're kin to, who you're related to. It's completely anonymous, and you are completely awarded based on your merits, which is pretty exciting, especially in a close-knit community like the Choctaw Nation. We want to make sure that the scholarships are awarded to the right people. It goes to a subcommittee, which is made up of Choctaws, and then it goes to a main committee, which is made up of Choctaws. So it's Choctaws selecting Choctaw recipients, and that's very important to us. So from there, the recipients are interviewed depending on scholarship level, and then we make the announcement, and we have an award ceremony every single year. Yeah.
So how does the Choctaw Foundation promote health?
Right now, it's based on preventative health care. And when we first started looking at having health programming, It's anybody who is around health at all knows that a dollar spent on preventative health care is worth exponential amounts compared to primary health care, meaning if we can help treat diabetes early on when someone is young, it saves enormous amount of money further along the line. So we have three basic programs. We have the outdoor classroom, which we really are hoping to expand that over the next 6 to 8 months. We also started an edible schoolyard here at the Durant Head Start, where we let the kids go into a greenhouse, plant beets, beans, squash, strawberries, and then we had a work day at the school where they came out, they got to put them in raised beds, little gardens and things like that, and now they've got to have salads with the plants that they raise, yeah, which is pretty incredible. It's such an enjoyable part of the job. And then we also have a raised bed initiative where we give raised beds to elders we have 7 assisted living facilities throughout the 10F counties, the Choctaw Nation does, and we send out an option to those elder facilities to get a raised bed on site, where it's a turnkey operation. We provide the raised beds, the plants, the starter plants, as well as the composting material and everything like that. So it's just a way to connect with those elders, to let them know that we're thinking about them, that we care about them, and not only is it a health benefit, but it's a mental benefit because it gives them something to do every single day. So we love getting out there and visiting with them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That sounds great. So what are some advice or tips you could give to youth who are applying for scholarships?
If I was going to give one of my children advice, that's how I always try to think about it, is I would tell them to be themselves. At a certain point, they're smart. You know, they're capable. We live because of the tribe, because of the tribe's influence. There's so many smart. You're a perfect example of just a smart, successful Choctaw. And we're getting around 500 of these applications every single year. So what we're trying to see is what sets you apart from someone else. What are some ways that you care about the culture? What are some ways that you want to give back to the tribe? And then from there, we want to put a support system in place that will ensure that you are successful. One of the things that's unique about our scholarships is that if you're starting college, we don't just write you a check and then say good luck for the next 4 years. We're going to follow you all the way through graduation to make sure that we haven't set you up for failure. We want you to be successful, because if you're successful, the Choctaw Nation is going to be successful. So I would say just be yourself. We always ask a couple questions. What do we need to know about you that we didn't ask? And what does it mean to you to be Choctaw? And those are a couple opportunities for you to really let the scholarship committee, which is all made up of Choctaws, see what the tribe means to you, and see why being Choctaw is important to you. So I would say be yourself, let yourself shine in those sections, and and if they have any questions during the application process, give us a call. That's what we're here to do.
Just to help.
Yeah, and the amount of conversations that we have with those students, that's one of the most enjoyable parts of the job. So yeah, it's exciting.
So can you kind of describe a typical day here at the Chahta Foundation?
Good question. Sort of difficult to do. We because our 3 areas are so broad, and we're a small staff. We have 5 people. I always tell people we're like the special forces team, because we have so much talent here with 5 people. And some days we're on the phone with the IRS for 3 or 4 hours, legal counsel, going over new contracts and things like that. And then some days we're out there in the garden, planting. So one of the enjoyable parts of this job is that every single day is a little bit different. And I love working with these people. We have a talented group of diverse, super passionate people. So that's an exciting thing.
So what are some future goals or plans that the Chahta Foundation wants to do?
Well, we want to keep growing. One of the most difficult parts of the year is when we have to send out the letters telling scholarship recipients that they didn't get awarded. And we all take that to heart here. That is a very difficult thing to do. Our scholarship director, Scott Wesley, that's one of his big motivators, and he speaks to this all the time, is how that motivates him to work even harder. The more money we can bring in, the more scholarships we can have, the more people we're able to help. And so that's just a constant reminder that every day when we come here, it needs to be with a purpose, and we need to work towards something, and that's sort of helping our tribe. So goals are to improve programming. The ability that we have as a small staff is that we're very agile. And so we can try a program, try some sort of a new initiative, and if it doesn't work, we're going to pull it back and we're going to try something else. We want to make sure that we're results oriented. So if our scholarships aren't geared the right way, we're going to change them, and we're going to gear them the right way. And if our other cultural or health programming, if we're not seeing the results we want to see, we're going to pull it back and we're going to do something that works. So just constant innovation, constant reevaluation, and adapt and overcome, as they always say. Yeah.
Well, I think that's all the questions I have today. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Thank you for all the great information.
Yeah, and also just want to send a shout out to your program and everything that you guys do. What you guys do is so needed. It's something that we're constantly asking about is there one site where I can go to find all these scholarships? We're lucky, because we're able to tell them about your website, and that's a very difficult thing to do. It's a very time-consuming thing, and I know for a fact that that's helping Choctaws out there. So thank you for doing that.
We enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, Seth.
Of course. Thank you.
If you'd like to learn more, visit MyTribalJob.com today.